What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video. I figured I'd do my first official movie review from this new background that I'm in, because I'm going to stick with this background actually for a lot of my videos, because a lot of people seem to really enjoy this little background here thing that I have going. And a lot of people have been enjoying my videos in this new background and things like that. So I figured, I'll stick with it. And I figured, why not do my first official movie review from this particular spot? As you can see, you can kind of already see the movie that I'm going to be reviewing right down here. But just want to say thank you guys for the recent comments that I've been getting on like my unboxings and things like that. I showed my Scream Factory collection. A lot of people really like that video as well. So thank you guys a lot for all the great feedback that I've been getting. So I figured I'd do a random movie review for you guys, or I guess the first official review in the new spot. So let's get on to the actual review, and I'm going to point the camera up a little bit so you guys can, and it fell over because I think it's drunk. But it's going to be on this film, No Contest. Now, No Contest was a film that was released in 1995. One of the many of the Die Hard knockoffs that you've seen over the years. Basically, Die Hard, a lot of films have copied the Die Hard format, whether it be, Under Siege or, there's a lot of ones. Air Force One's kind of like Die Hard on a plane in a sense. But yeah, this film from 1995, where it's basically Die Hard in a beauty pageant, pretty much. And directed by Paul Lynch. This is the same guy that brought us the original Prom Night from 1980. And then he would do this film many years later. Now, I guess this film was popular enough they did a sequel to this a couple years later with Lance Henriksen as the main villain, and you had Shannon Tweed back as the main female lead from this movie, which took place in a museum, which was Die Hard in a museum kind of like situation. But this one was from 1995, and you can tell on the cover, a roller coaster ride of full frontal high octane action, which is the tagline that it says right here. But the film stars Andrew Dice Clay, you have Robert Davi, Shannon Tweed, and you also have Roddy Piper in the film as well. But now the basic idea with this film about No Contest, basically the title says it all, Die Hard at a beauty pageant, where you have this beauty pageant going on and these terrorists end up taking over the building, headed by this guy named Oz, played by Andrew Dice Clay. And his right-hand man is Roddy Piper, and some things like that. And basically it's up to this cop, played by Robert Davi, who actually was in Die Hard, funny enough, and Shannon Tweed, who's one of the beauty queens, to save the day, pretty much, to stop the terrorists and save the hostages, and things like that. So that's pretty much the idea of the film. Now, do I enjoy this film? I really do really enjoy this film. I think number one, the cast does a pretty solid job. Granted, it's not like it's a pretty good cast of people like that I like. First off, Andrew Dice Clay as the main villain, who's kind of pretty much the Hans Gruber type of character, who's the leader of these terrorists. Andrew Dice Clay, if you guys don't know, was mostly known for being a stand-up comedian, with of course, the Adventures of Ford Fairlane and things like that. So to see him as the main villain was pretty interesting, and I gotta say, he's pretty damn good. He's pretty damn good as the main bad guy. He's cold, he's calculating, he kills his own men when they don't follow his orders. So this is like a guy that doesn't mess around, which I like. So I like the Dice Man as a bad guy. Robert Davi as the main cop, which of course he was in Die Hard, like I said, but he's pretty good here as the main cop of the film. You also have Shannon Tweed as the female hero, sort of the John McClane type of girl. And she does very solid as well. She's pretty decent in the film as well. Roddy Piper, I miss Roddy Piper. It's always great to see Roddy Piper as the right-hand man to Dice. And, Roddy Piper is without a doubt one of the standouts of the film. The Dice Man is the standout star of the film, but Roddy Piper's a pretty close second. And on top of that, too, for a low-budget film, because this film never went to theaters, this is a low-budget, straight-to-video film. It's got some pretty damn good action for a low-budget film. I mean, it's got some really good explosions, and it's bloody. I mean, they don't hold back on the violence. It's R-rated. There's blood. There's there are gun shootings, like people shooting guns, and there's a lot of pretty good fisticuffs and things like that. And on top of that, too, what I like about this film, too, that I kind of wish, like, a lot of other films, like, nowadays would do, like, action films, is to not, jump right into the action, If the intention is to make an entertaining, fun ride, go for it. And I feel like a lot of action films, like, today, I feel like they want to make a fun action film, but they try more than what they should. Then they try to do more than what they should. They try to put so much detail into character development and things like that. Sometimes for like fun films like this, you don't really need character development. If you just want to make a fun, entertaining popcorn film, then just jump right into the action. And it doesn't take this long to get this film started. I mean, the terrorists pretty much get there right away. It's not like, they introduce Andrew Dice Clay in the beginning and about like his history as a criminal and Shannon Tweed's background or Robert Davi's background. It doesn't really focus on that. It jumps right into the action, which I was fine with because they knew what they were going into while making this, to make a fun, entertaining popcorn film. And I think they did a pretty good job. I think Paul Lynch does a pretty solid job directing this. He's got some nice shots in the film. And I like the villains in the film, especially Dice and Roddy Piper. One of the other villains, actually, too, I actually recognized when I watched this again, who's kind of like the tech guy of the group, of the terrorists. He's kind of like the guy that, because basically, like, they install like these wristbands on the beauty pageant queens that are the hostages, and they put these wristbands on them, and if they get too far away from where they're being held at, they're going to explode. Things like that, because it's like an automatic wristband that has like all this technology stuff in it. And the tech guy also puts like these like automatic guns and things like that. The tech guy, I don't remember the actor's name, but if you remember Texas Chainsaw 3D, the Kenny, the hitchhiker in Texas Chainsaw 3D, he's one of the terrorists in this as the tech guy, which I thought was pretty interesting. But, and on top of that, too, this film has some nice little one-liners here and there, especially when Shannon Tweed's character attacks Roddy Piper, because Roddy Piper's character's name in this is Ice. And when Roddy Piper, there's a scene where Shannon Tweed beats the shit out of Roddy Piper by smacking him in the face with a big bag of ice, really enough. And there's a one-liner she gets spats off where she says, "Looks like ice just got iced." And there's also another terrorist in here named Zed, Z-E-D, like Zed, like from Pulp Fiction. And they even do a cheesy line where they say, Zed's dead. Zed's dead. So kind of like an homage to Pulp Fiction, which I thought was pretty fun. Because Pulp Fiction came out the year before this, in 94. But yeah, this film is entertaining to watch. It's a good popcorn flick for a low-budgeted film. It's got some pretty good action. It's got some pretty good practical explosions. It's got some violence in there. It's R-rated. So usually, like, a lot of these, like, low-budget, like, action films like this, they don't really show a lot of, like, violence. And because it's low-budget, they don't really have much to show. But this one, though, they don't hold back at all. And on top of that, too, I think this is probably one of the best, like, die-hard knockoffs I've seen from the 90s, because I love Under Siege and Speed and things like that. I think this is, like, the most underrated, or one of the more underrated Die Hard knockoffs from the 90s. I mean, I never saw the sequel, though, with Lance Henriksen, who's the main villain in that, but maybe I will at some point. But I love this film, too. I love this film. It's a pretty good Die Hard knockoff. I think the cast does a great job. I love Andrew Dice Clay. I thought it was a really good flip of the switch for him as a bad guy. I think he's really good as the bad guy. Just how cold he is, and it's pretty cool. I like how he comes in like with the disguise on. And like I said, the violence don't hold back. Like when the terrorists are trying to sneak into the beauty pageant, like they kill off all these security guards with these silencer guns, and you see blood and things like that. So they don't hold back on the violence. For a low budget film, it's pretty good action, like gunfire and fisticuffs and explosions, things like that. It's pretty good for a low budget film. And it looks really, really nice. It's not cheaply shot. It's actually pretty competently directed by Paul Lynch, so I give a thumbs up to that. You have a really fun finale on the rooftop of the building where the beauty pageant's being held at. It's a really tall building. I forget where this was exactly filmed at. I don't remember what city it was in. But if you like low budget action films, and if you're a big fan of like Die Hard kind of like movies, or you're a big Andrew Dice Clay fan or a big Roddy Piper fan, I think it's definitely worth a look. But I really do enjoy this film a lot. And I wish, like action films like of today, like if your intention is to make a good popcorn film, like entertaining popcorn ride, then just go for the popcorn ride. Don't try to be more than what you're trying to be. You know what I mean? Like, they try so hard to like push all those like subplots and characters and things like that. But if you're making if your intention is to make a fun popcorn movie, then just learn from this. Jump right into the action and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with jumping right into the action. I mean, sometimes that's what I prefer. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my first official review from the new spot. So, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. You guys take care.